Going live. Okay. I put this title in here today. Should you get paid to post, snap, or tweet? And the reason why oh, got messages coming in already. The reason why I did that was ultimately just to kind of point out the fact that right now we are the product in any of the social media stuff, and ultimately these companies are making huge profits off of us selling our stuff and using the information that we post online just over and over and over again. I'm probably one of the worst people, but we're seeing with our president-elect that he's spending a lot of time using social media for free to get his message out, and I guess you could say he's getting paid in other ways through the job that he's doing. But ultimately, if you look at the most successful companies that are growing right now, they're doing it through mobile technology, and they're really all it is it's an app. They've got this whole app thing going, and that's what I'm going to talk about today is how you can, we're still spreading the word that you're live. This may take a minute. Okay, great. So, guess I lost my audience early on. That's okay, it doesn't matter. There's one thing I've learned in business is it only takes one person to make you hugely successful. And with, if you look even like a company like Apple, it wasn't, yes, Steve Jobs was, kind of a mastermind, but Steve Jobs didn't invent the computer. Steve Jobs didn't invent the mobile phone. He was kind of the marketing person, the leader that was able to keep the engine going. If it wasn't for Steve Jobs, Wozniak probably, would still have been in his garage. So it only takes one person in your life, probably one new person in your life, to completely change things. And I learned that in network marketing. You always hear like, oh, you need two people, you need this, you need that. Chances are 99% chance that the two people or four people or 12 people that you personally bring in, personally introduce to the company, are not going to be the people who are going to make you hugely successful. It's going to be somebody who you don't know right now, and probably somebody who knows that person. So the concept of you personally, I guess the fallacy of you personally building something huge is one of the reasons why a lot of people are not successful, because they sit and they look, okay, let me go through my friends list and whether it be on your mobile phone or whatever, and let me see who I know that is going to make me hugely successful. And every single time I've seen it happen, it's never been anybody on that person's friends list. It was somebody who they it was based on somebody they knew, but it was in an introduction from somebody they knew to somebody they knew, sometimes 2, 3, 4 levels down, that made it hugely successful. So regardless what you hear, the stories, and this is the other sad thing. It's like the kind of the social media thing. The stories that you hear on social media, the stories you hear in meetings and things like that, it's kind of that, the watered, revised, hyper. How do we kind of, swing that or spin the story to make it sound unbelievably amazing? And most of the time it's not the reality. I mean, things that I've known, or was told 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 years ago even, about how, people had, made millions of dollars in network marketing and stuff. And then you just find out that that story was nowhere close to what the reality was. It sounds good. I mean, it sounds really good in a meeting, but wasn't the story. And you're like, oh, why did they, you're like kind of like, why did they tell that story when it's not the real story? But um, because the people who buy into the hype would have never, bought into the hype if they told the real story that they were in three other deals before they got into this one, and knocked themselves out for 5-6 years to build up the team to those don't nobody wants to hear that story. They want to hear the overnight success story and see the I'd rather hear the okay, this is really what you need to do kind of story when building the business, and those are the kind of the stories I like to build here. This is really what it takes. So let's talk about it. And so if you go into your mobile phone right now, I'm going to tell you right now, companies like Facebook and Google and like Snapchat and stuff like that, right now they're getting away, Twitter, they're getting away with not paying the consumer for their information. And I said 2017 is going to be kind of the awakening. There's going to be an awakening that goes on. Thanks, Chris. And that awakening, part of that awakening is we're going to figure out that most of what people are telling us is not true. And it's probably not going to be my generation that's going to figure it out, just because we're so ingrained in the old industrial revolution. And another thing that that I'm watching these videos. Kind of a famous person just did a video on millennials, and it's like it's not even true, and people are like they're liking it and saying, yeah, that's true. No, I didn't raise my boys. Okay, like I always wanted to keep it open that for both my boys when I was raising them that college was an option, or college was a possibility for them, because I wanted them to have that as a option for them. It wasn't because I was hoping that they were going to be in a coal mine somewhere digging dirt, because like that was like my grandparents' generation. It was like we were trying to do better by the kids. So like when we were raising our kids based on the reality of what was going on. Like I never envisioned either of my boys being in a factory with these things on their wrists, putting something into a machine and taking it out. I mean, it was already, the handwriting was kind of already on the wall oh, did I miss myself straight? The kind of handwriting was already on the wall that wasn't going to be like around. I mean, we just took that for granted, and we kind of raised our kids based on that. So now I listen to these people like what do you call it, like Sunday morning quarterbacking or Monday morning quarterbacking, I guess you would say, saying that, well, we raised our kids the wrong way. No, we raised our kids based on the reality of what we saw coming down the line. See, save time, just assume I'm right. Okay. My sister got me this because she knows. But it's the reality. I mean, it's the reality. Think about it. Like I never envisioned either of my kids, Mark loved heavy equipment and stuff like that. So that's fine. I mean, that was like his passion. Knock yourself out. I'm not going to limit anybody's. But Dustin had no intention on working in a factory. That wasn't his goal. His goal was to build businesses and do all that stuff, and that's still his goal. Not quite there yet, but he's still really young. That's his goal. His goal is not to work in a factory somewhere, and that's where you start out. That's not where you think about ending up. And I saw what happened to my grandfather after. That's why most of us raised our kids that way. Let's get them into college. Let's get them something else. We didn't envision the fact that even the college education stuff was going to be gone. We had no way of knowing that when we were raising our kids. But it's because there's a whole new, it's like the people who are, like my nieces and stuff that are raising their kids right now. They're raising their kids based on today's reality. Like their reality is going to be like, it doesn't really matter if you go to college, because like both of my nieces went to college, had, very well graduated all stuff, and then one of them had quite a challenge to find a position. The other one was was like top of her class, it just happened to be in the right place at the right time and was able to jumpstart her career. Like it was the same thing with me. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, was able to jumpstart my career. But everybody doesn't have those options right now. So like they're not raising their kids thinking that, oh, there's going to be, manufacturing jobs and stuff like that. They're raising their kids based on today's reality. Okay, so that's the same thing. Like I watch these videos, it's like it's not based on reality. It's not based on what we were thinking. I watched my grandfather work, for almost 40 years, retire, and 2 years after retirement, that nest egg, that golden parachute that he was supposed to get was gone 2 years after he retired. Oops, sorry, company went out of business, and so did their retirement plan. Like, why would I even consider that being a possibility for my kids? I saw it happen firsthand, and that's the way we raised our kids. So, where's things today? Well, you look at, all you have to do is pick up your phone and go through your phone, what are the most successful companies that are growing right now in their apps and people. That's what I'm saying. At some point, I'm pretty sure Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and they're going to have to pay people. They're going to have to pay a certain percentage of the population, and the other percentage of the population is going to have to pay for it. I mean, that's where it's going to end up going. You look at Lyft. I'm just going through my thing. Uber. There's I can just keep going on and on and on with the different applications that are out there. You look, Lyft and Uber is a good example. I've got them right next to each other on the phone. Some people pay for that service. Some people get paid by that service. Those are two hugely successful and growing. What is the company? Okay, they don't own cars. Okay, not currently anyway. That's a future business model. What do they do? Okay, it's an app and people. Now, if they started out like most people think about starting out a business, where would they be today? Okay, we have to build this device. This is how most people think they need to start a business. Okay, I need a way to get people to the cars. So they're thinking, okay, well, I got to start by building this device, okay, to connect people. I got to get that in people's hands. If you look at most of the internet stuff that people are taught, okay, this is how you build on the internet. First thing you need to do is you need to build a store. You need to go out and buy your product. You got to buy some product, find the product, buy the product. You got to start doing advertising. Okay, get the advertising out there. Right? Think about it. How do you learn? How do you do all that? Well, you got to start with education first. So you've got this 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 month education process that you're buying into. They're going to teach you how to do website development or store development. They're going to teach you how to do advertising. They're going to teach you all these things that you need to do in order to open your store to start selling your product, right? Okay, so that's the internet business model today. And you got these guys are like, do you download my app, okay, and you either use the service or you get paid by the service. So you are the service or you get paid. So that's the contrast of people's thinking today. Which one would you rather be? Now, how hard is it for somebody to get into their own business with one of these businesses? Do you know how to drive a car? Do you have a license? I mean, just this one. Do you have do you have an apartment? Do you have a house? You can do Airbnb. Okay. I mean, literally. You want to use the service or you want to be the service? You want to use the service or you want to be the service? I mean, literally, that's business today. Now, if this was an internet business, first thing you'd have to, there'd be a 6 month education process and okay, let's teach you the right way to drive your car. Just crazy. It's crazy stuff. You want to use the business or you want to, this literally what your business has to be. So how do you get there in 2017? This is where the awakenings are going to start happening in 2017. Okay? Like, does it really have to be that complicated? Okay? I mean, we're used to, again, my generation, yeah, they think it has to be that complicated because that's where we grew up. Like, if you wanted to make something, right, you had to find a building, hire people, payroll. I mean, you had to do like all the stuff. I mean, there wasn't a company to do your paychecks, right? When I was, first in business, like there was no, I mean, you had to do your paycheck. You had to do payroll once a week. You had to pay all your bills, right? If I needed a plastic shroud to go on I had to find a company and give them a mold, give them dimensions or whatever. They had to make a mold, like all these crazy things that you don't have to do anymore. So if you're thinking about this, like when I was, first getting into business, like it's insurmountable. And you come into, that's what, 70, 77, 78, when I first had my first job. I mean, literally, if you wanted to put milk into jugs, you had to go out and, have milk jugs made. You had to get the plastic mold and find the injection molder and, I mean, there was no place to, like, you couldn't call somebody and say, hey, I want to send me 10,000 milk jugs. It just didn't happen. And I worked with companies that did all that stuff. Hey, Deb. So, I mean, that's the difference. Like, and people still have that, in my generation, still have that mindset. Well, if I want to make a product, I got to get the formulation. I got to mix the stuff up. I got to go out and, injection mold these plastic things with my name on them. And like, they start from like, and it's just the way we think. Okay. You get people in this new generation, they're like, well, why can't you just download it? Hey, Adam, why can't you just download the thing, and start from there? Or why can't you just go to like the place that, a couple of years ago, I decided I was going to do, some personal care stuff. I went online. The screw top containers were already, all I had to do was make the labels. Okay. The formulations were already out. All I had to do is tweak them. The supplies, I could just go out to Amazon and get the supplies in bulk. Like, everything was there. It was already all set. I didn't have to hire somebody to go cutting down trees in Africa to get the ingredients. Okay? I didn't have to call the coconut company in Hawaii to have the coconuts, coconut oil, manufactured. Like, that's stuff that we had to do when I was a kid. Like, if I wanted to start a business, if I wanted to start the healthcare business and I wanted coconut, oil in my product, I'd have to find the coconut farmer, okay, and have the coconut, stuff, have them ship it in raw and refine it in my factory. I mean, that's just the way it was. I couldn't go to Amazon and go, send me coconut oil. It's like everything's totally different. We got to think totally different. Hey, Anne-Marie, we got to think totally different in 2017. So that's what I'm saying, like, think totally different. Like, if your business isn't, download something into your phone and either pay to use it or get paid to use it, like, you're totally like missing the whole reality of like where things have evolved. And so like that's why I'm like, it's okay. Like, we're never going to go, like, if you look at like business, it's never going to go in a straight line like this. So like, we just literally took 2 steps back. Okay, we were kind of like going on the slow path forward, and in our greed to go like this. Okay, I think really honestly what we did was we took 2 steps back. We're looking at like the car, and I'll take one, the car industry. Everybody's getting really excited about, car jobs are coming back to the U.S. I feel bad for the people who are jumping into the car industry right now. Why? Because what do we see already happening with Uber? Okay, self-driving cars. Okay, I mean, it's pretty clear the new companies that are coming out are moving into a subscription model for cars, because everybody doesn't. 80% of the time, your car's sitting in your garage. The new generation, like my generation, will always have a car in the garage. Can't fix it. New generations, you're like, why do I need to? Okay, why do I need my own car? And they're being ingrained with this from school. They get out of school at the end of the day, and I've talked to Uber drivers, so I know, and Lyft drivers, I know this is what happens. They get out of school at, say 3 o'clock. They hit the app. Bunch of them get together, 3, 4, 5 of them get together. One of them presses the button. The car comes up. They all jump in the car. Car takes them to wherever they need to go. They get out. They do, go to the mall, whatever they need to do. Go shopping. Okay, they're all done shopping. They hit the app. Car comes, picks them up, brings them back. Okay, this is how they're being ingrained right now. Okay, so when they get older, are they going to be thinking, oh, I got to have a car? No. They're going to be thinking, what do I need to spend, $3, $4, $500 a month? By then, it's probably going to be $1,000 a month, for a car. Just hit the app. Boom, car shows up. Think about it. Now they're going to be self-driving cars. Boop, car shows up. Okay, we go to the do our shopping. Okay, we're all done. Boop, car comes up, picks us up, takes us home. All right, self-driving. I mean, within 10 years, it's all going to be totally self-driving. But in the meantime, we've got a whole generation of people that's what they're thinking. So why is everybody, we're still, we've got our government is now getting everyone excited that, we're going to have car manufacturing in the U.S. when car manufacturing is going to be going like this. Okay, all these companies now are trying to figure out, Chevy or GM, Faraday. There's a bunch of new car companies. Most people probably don't even know what Faraday is. Okay, go look at Faraday. It's a subscription-based car that's just starting to be manufactured, right? So who are they gonna who are they gonna chop into? If I could have a car show up at my house based on a subscription, I don't have to pay that monthly fee, to own a car. It's always somebody else is going to do all the maintenance on the car, and it's just going to make a lot more sense. Okay, so what's it going to be? $100, $200 a month? Press the button, the type of car I want shows up. Sports car, or, if I'm going to be doing a wedding or something. Car's clean, it's ready to go, right? Somebody else does the maintenance. Somebody else charges it, and then it'll probably all be electric. Somebody else charges it. Somebody else does all the maintenance on the vehicle. Why would I want to own a vehicle that's sitting, especially now, semi-retired? And it's probably 90% of the time my car's in the garage. It's just crazy. It's like everybody's like, well, when are you going to get a new car? Because I got 90,000 miles on my car. I'm like, for what? 90% of the time it's sitting in my garage doing nothing. And I can't, I'm going to run out. I can't wait to run out and get a new car. No. It's just not going to make any sense. And this is what everybody's all excited. Oh, we just created 700 new jobs. And I'm like, what are these people going to do in 10 years? These 700 people, what are they going to do in 10 years? It's not going to be a long-term thing, right? Because we got this. I mean, you could change the game, and I keep posting this. Change the rules, but you're not going to stop the game. They could change the rules, make it harder for these people, but they're not going to stop that, because what will happen is these guys will go to the subscription-based service, and then you're not going to be able to stop it, because that's going to be their car. It's going to be a membership type deal. Can't stop it. They'll change the rules, but they're not going to stop it. So you gotta figure out how to do business in today. What was the other thing I just heard? Something about the visa, the Genius visa, and our education system. And right now we have, most people don't realize, we have all the power, because of this, and the money. Most of the world monetary system is based on the U.S. dollar. It doesn't matter where that person comes from. You know what I'm saying? If somebody's being educated in India or China or whatever, and then they're developing, that's where the manufacturing is happening anyway, new products and all that stuff. That's fine. Where is it going to be consumed? That's where it's important. Where is that going to be consumed? So how do we make our population, more viable financially, more self-sustained? Okay, press the button. Are you getting paid, or are you paying? Press the button. Okay, if Uber had to start out by creating the phone and the connection and the GPS right, we'd never have it. All they did was create the app. Okay, think, stop thinking scarcity. I gotta have it because otherwise, it's gonna run out. No, we have plenty of every resource that we ever will need. If we don't have it in this country, they got it in another country. So we got more than. As a matter of fact, we have too much. And I think that's where the next generations are starting to go. They're starting to figure out we've got way too much stuff. Okay, and they're going to start scaling it back, and that's part of what's going on right now. That's why GDP isn't going crazy because we already got we're kind of at this lull where like what else are we going to make? You know what I'm saying? Like not that we aren't going to start to do that, but the science kind of has to catch up to the technology, and it starts to then we have to start surpassing. There's some really great stuff coming down the line. It's going to revolutionize the way we do things, but they're not things that I would say are going to have huge GDP changes. So you got to find a way to make money. Okay. 2017, the Great Awakening. So there's going to be the Great Awakening, not for my generation. It's too late. It's not going to be for the people that are 70 that are in the government, right? They're still trying to figure out how do we hang on to the power that we had in 1960. It's not going to work for them. And, this is going to be, you got one or two more elections and they're going to be all gone, right? I mean, think about it. Where are they going to, people in, what do we see? Like, how many people passed in 2016? Everyone's getting excited because, a lot of people we knew, in my generation, right? It's going to happen. Same thing's going to happen in 2017. These people are, it's time for the new generations to come to, and they're making changes from the bottom up like this, like the Ubers and stuff like that. Those are bottom up changes, right? I mean, if you tried to, if those companies tried to go to the government and change the way, transportation worked, how far do you think they would be right now? They'd be back at zero, right? Too ingrained. Everything's too ingrained at the top. They like it. They like, people don't like change like that. Change is always going to come from the bottom up. So, anyways, any more texts? I got to run. So that's my thing for today. Have a great day.